from the Parker & Sons Weather Center. For all your AC, plumbing, and electrical needs, call Parker.
Our Father's Day forecast on this Sunday is bringing us 113 degrees with nothing but sunshine and clear skies. We're going to be dropping down in the low 80s at 82 degrees tonight. For the Fox 10 Weather Experts, I'm Ashley Loessa.
This report is sponsored by Rocket. Rocket.com is the new home for all things home ownership. Whether you're buying your first home, finding your next one, or unlocking home equity to fund one of your dreams, there's only one destination that has everything you need to get started, all under one roof. Get started today at Rocket.com. Rocket, own the dream.
Don McDowell Outdoor Radio is sponsored by Elevate Design Group. It's time for Don McDowell Outdoors on Fox Sports 910. A show for the avid fisherman and hunter looking for tips from the pros. Now here's your host, a saltwater fisherman and the man that fears no fish. He's the Bass Daddy and a tournament pro, Don McDowell.
Everybody, happy Father's Day, and hope you guys have a good day. A lot of stuff going on. We've got some special guests in here, Greg Kruger from Easy Bass Junkies, and our bass ambassador, Matt Schur, is in the house. So you're sending me pictures of brutal fish at Roosevelt. Oh, my gosh.
It's been absolutely incredible, the fish that are coming out of there. I mean, you know, we both fished Roosevelt 20 years ago, and 12 pounds was a great bag of fish.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
This last tournament I fished, it took 29 pounds for
Boom.
5 fish to win. So, you know, do the math on the average. And then there was a night tournament that same day, and 35 pounds won it.
Oh, my God.
And poor Andrew Napoleon, I got to say, he sponsors the tournament, and anybody catches a 10-pounder, he has to pay $1,000 to him.
That'll kill him.
2 10-pounders.
Oh, good. Yeah.
That's awesome. So good stuff there.
Greg Kruger, what is going on at Bass Junkies, brother?
Well, we're kind of running around all over the place. We've been here in Arizona, California, Texas, and running the kayak side of it. And it's been entertaining. There's some personalities out there, so it's different than the bass guys.
They're back.
Yeah.
Well, we miss all the personalities in the bass world. I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
We go on and on.
You know who I miss the most? Dennis Cleary.
Yep, good friend of mine.
Absolutely, love that guy. But oh my God, I mean, he was just so fun to tease, you know, until he started crying and whining. And I said, you know, Marine Corps is going to be real proud of you. Wipe your tears. Speaking of the Marine Corps, did you guys see that Army parade yesterday?
No, I did not. I hadn't had a chance to watch it online.
If you have, I'll tell you what, I have never been prouder to be an American today, having watched that yesterday. And the mood of the country is certainly, I don't even know how to put it. It's just weird.
It's rough. Just
weird. You know, the protesters on both sides. And
it's unsettled. It's definitely unsettled. There's a lot of opinion from one side to another, but the thing that is exacerbating all of it is the money that's being pumped back into the end of it to create some of this to go on.
Yeah, you've got a big nail there to pound on. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going for nails anymore. It's railroad spikes.
Thank you. Yeah, well, hit the head, buddy. Drive it in. That, and then, you know, we've got friends over in Israel dodging ICBMs and ballistic missiles and stuff. It's going to be real interesting to see how that's going to shape up. So I'm not going to spend any time on it, but it's about time that happened. So I just hope they finish the job. So anyway, getting back to fishing, you know, I was over at Roosevelt. You know, I started telling you I was over Tonto Basin 4 times, going hither and fro, and going past. I had to stop. I had to stop a couple times and shoot a little video, take some pictures. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And let's see, that was Thursday. There just wasn't the amount of boats pre-fishing that I thought there would be you know, there was guys
Right.
fishing, but, you know, I mean, there was kayaks and jet skis and blow boats and all that kind of stuff over there. So,
That's what's great about Roosevelt. It's 22 miles long.
oh yeah.
So, you know, living in Tonto Basin now, and I wanted to ask, did you hit all the street lights? You got them all green when you went through?
Oh yeah, sure.
Because there's no street lights. That's what I love about Tonto Basin. But yeah, the lake's 22 miles long, so we went out on Memorial Day thinking this is really not a good decision. Yeah, the ramp was busy and everything else, but the lake was beautiful. We caught fish.
Yeah, but busy ramps are entertainment.
Yeah, at times, but they're big, good ramps, and you know the secret's kind of out. The wakeboarders are there. You know, there's tons of wakeboard boats that are going past Saguaro and Canyon now and going straight to
course.
Roosevelt. So
Yeah.
it's they're there. You know, so every once in a while a wave comes over the front of the boat because it seems like every wakeboard boat nowadays makes a 3 and 4 foot wave.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just crazy.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah, but no, Roosevelt's. I
But we
love
have to
living
share
there.
the waterways, and you know that's one thing we're seeing with the Coast Guard auxiliary and the work that we do. It's just, you know, I'm opposed to a lot of stuff that I have to do, but at the end we have to share the waterways, and I think one of the biggest things that I'm seeing is the cultural disconnect with the Hispanic community. You know, we're getting bilingual boating regulations and this, that, and the other thing
Really?
finally, and it's been out there. So, you know, trying to make a difference, but it's just crazy. And that's one of the lakes where you see just a mix of everything. You see great big boats, cabin cruiser type guys, blow boats.
Houseboats.
Yeah,
It's
you
cool.
know, bass boats to a certain time of the day, and then kayakers and paddlecraft and guys on inner tubes drinking beer, you know,
Right.
floating out in the high speed lane with no PFDs, and it's like, oh God,
You got these kayakers everywhere.
I wasn't going down there. Oh.
Just to paint a little bit more into this, went out to Canyon. There was a Arizona kayak tournament last night, not a Bass Junkies one, and I think there were 11 or 12 anglers in that. And I can tell you that Canyon was a zoo.
Of course.
I personally helped 3 people get their boats out at the ramp. I had one guy that was spinning his tires going back into the lake. I walked up to his window and said, stop. Told everybody that was sitting in the boat to come up to the front, sit on the front, and
Yep.
the rather larger person told him to come up and climb in the back of the truck bed. And guess what? We eased right on out, and
Yep,
that was
yep.
the end of it. Other than that, he was spinning his tires to go back into the lake.
Wonderful.
So we just stop. We're going to start over.
Yeah,
So-
Bartlett's always been, you know, when the lake's down, it's slippery and it's steep. And, you know, I'd be walking back to get my truck and they see the fat guy. It's like, hey, I need you. I jump in the back of a lot of trucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's cool. But one thing also, because Canyon's all no wake now, all the way from pretty much from past the marina area all the way back, right? So
Not
that's
yesterday.
Oh, really? People running the no wake zone. Yeah, but one thing I'll say about the wakeboard boats, and Don, you're right. We all share the waterways, but those big waves splash up against the bank and stir everything up, and they make the fish bite. You go throw a jerkbait or a fluke and that kind of stuff when that
Yeah.
water's splashing on the bank, you know, you can catch them. I mean, it turns them on, so it's,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a good thing. And I'll say again, Gary Dobbins, he used to run into the coves at Lake Mead, and you know this is a U.S. Open, a big tournament. He'd do donuts around the cove just to splash water on the banks, and then he'd start fishing.
Yeah.
You know, so that's just like the wind. You know, it gets those fish stirred up. And
One of
same
the
thing.
waves. Yeah.
So yeah, so I don't mind them, but every once in a while you get your feet wet when the waves come
Oh,
over
yeah.
the front of the boat. And I couldn't imagine taking a 3-footer or 4-footer in a kayak, but it'd
No.
be a little rough.
Yeah. Thank goodness for scuppers.
Yeah. So, how many boats or kayaks do you have in your events nowadays?
We'll go anywhere from 12 to 20.
Wow.
So, and it's continuing to grow. I mean, we've got some great shops here locally. Riverbound, they're the bona fide and New Canoe and Native Shop that's over here. They work hard to get your business. They do a great job. I've been inside Kayak City up in Sacramento. I've been at Mariner Sales out in Dallas, Fort Worth. And they just keep clicking and clicking and clicking along. And I got to tell you, and if anybody's ever owned a VW or maybe an old step-side Chevy, and how you can turn around and customize those, yeah. In I think in the fishing world, the Kayak is now the new VW for that.
I love it.
Because there's just a ton of stuff out there.
What kind of modification seems to be the trend at this point?
Probably turning around and putting a 36-volt trolling motor. Some tournaments that, like Bassmaster, they only allow for one motor. You'll see guys that have a 36-volt Newport or Torpedo on the back, and with the foot steering, and then they'll have a power pole, a micro power pole. Might be something I have.
How fun is that?
It's crazy to see these kayakers with all the equipment.
Oh,
on them,
you gotta love male mentality. Yeah.
It's
MacGyver? No, ain't got
cool.
nothing on these guys.
It's pretty neat and a lot more affordable than the boats that I'm running. I'll tell you
Oh.
that. I got to buy a new boat next year and not looking forward to it.
That
Are you going to look at that new tracker, that 21.5 Savage with a 250 on it?
It's an aluminum boat, right?
Yeah. A tinner running a 250.
It's cool.
go figure.
That's gonna get across the water pretty quick. It
Oh, yeah.
reminds me an awful lot of an Express.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Same kind of. It seemed to be a bit of the same layout inside. I mean, we've only got so much room for rod lockers and what have you. And by the way, it's a double rod locker in that. I popped that open to take a look. It's pretty sweet.
I heard somebody talking about it. I think there's one in the Mesa store.
There is.
Yes.
There
yeah,
is.
I'm going to check it out today.
Yeah.
All right, hold that thought. 250 on an aluminum boat. Anyway, we got to take a break here. Happy Father's Day. This is Fox Sports 910. We'll be right back. All righty, we're back. Greg, you were talking about personalities, and that's one of the cool parts about bass fishing. I don't care whether you're fiberglass, aluminum, or Tupperware boat. The personalities that are out there, a lot of good guys out there, and Matt, I think you can attest to it. I think the fun's back in the launch ramp area, way in afterwards.
Absolutely.
The guys are getting along great, and I think they've evolved beyond the manufacturer hate club. Back in the day, if you didn't drive a Ranger, they didn't even want you on the lake.
Well, there was always the Ranger team and then the Nitro team, and we wanted to beat all the Ranger guys. But now we're all on the same team. Yeah. Johnny Morris bought them all, so Triton, Nitro, Ranger, we're all on the same team now. So now we're all buddies.
Now, Greg, do you have that with your kayakers?
There's a little Hobie preference.
Is there?
Kind of like the Ranger Nitro thing.
Yeah.
But there's also the guys that are in the Hobie looking over at the guys in the new Bonafide with that great big deck on the front going, yeah, that's kind of nice. So
really?
Yeah, it's honestly, it's very interesting to listen to the conversations and what guys begin to talk about, what they begin to notice. One of the conversations that seems to be popping up more now is about trailers and being able to trailer instead of hauling it inside of the truck bed or on top.
Roof.
There's an awful lot of guys that'll continue to do that with putting it on the roof or putting it in the truck bed, but the preference is leaning more towards trailers like the Malone. There's FTX in Texas, and he builds a really nice trailer. If I get my conversation finished up with Uriah, hopefully I can get him to start building them locally.
Yeah, he's a good
because
guy.
he's got a great platform out there to do it.
Absolutely.
So if I can,
Capelli, yes,
they do good work. I've been over there probably 20, 25 times since last September, and just watching the guys, watching the work habit and how they communicate with one another, and get through the shop, get through the process, and when it's ready to go, it's ready to go and have a boat set on it and go to the lake.
Boom.
Because it is plug and play at that point. So you really can't ask for things through the manufacturing process and not have the expectation that it's going to do what it's supposed to do.
Sure.
But I can tell you that as they're building, they are also going through and QCing everything.
You have
so
to. Yeah.
Those trailers are all QC'd before they ever land on the back of a truck to be hauled or anything else.
Outstanding. Yeah. Good guy, good company, great trailers. Yeah, I was talking to a guy the other day, last week, over in Globe, and he was hollering about, it's just, I can't fish, I can't afford to fish. And, we just had a real lighthearted conversation. You're looking at $80,000 to $95,000 bass boats, trucking the same thing. The electronic packages anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000, and then throwing another $10,000.
That's the 7-inch for the $15,000.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's not the 12 and the 16 touchscreen.
And
down and Panoptic.
And so you hit the launch ramp. You got $250,000 rolling and floating.
And a $500 entry fee for the tournament if you enter the tournament.
Yeah, and you don't get a sweatshirt and a hat.
Or a hot dog.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they don't even do hot dogs anymore since
No,
COVID.
sworn off hot dogs. No more hot dogs. So, how many more regular season kayak events
Well,
are
there's a whole summer series going on. There's also the West Coast Championship that'll be at Clear Lake in August.
Okay.
Then we'll turn back on with Bass Junkies in September. So we'll go September, October, November. We'll be down and not doing anything December, January until late February. But I'm looking.
What, you're not going to have an event in January on Lake Pleasant?
No.
Come on.
No. Wind up with 5 guys out there that are tired of listening to what's happening in the house and just need a break.
Yes, sir.
So
That's why we fish.
It's one of the reasons. That or bourbon.
Okay. Well, what's the big grand prize on your kayak championship?
I believe out there at the West Coast Championship, they're giving away a kayak, but that has an awful lot of prestige out here. Guys turn around and they qualify for the Bassmaster through BASS things and regional events. They qualify up and in. But the West Coast, the Kayak Alliance, that stems from California, back over here, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, New Mexico, Colorado, on up through Washington. I think there's an Idaho angler that comes down too. So it's very well represented through the West, and it is a great event out there. It really is a great event.
I'm talking to the guys Washington, Oregon, Montana. We'll be talking to the Montana guys here at 8 o'clock, Coffee and Chaos. But, there's the kayakers they're like a plague in a good way. I mean, they're coming back.
Good save, Don.
It's trending, and
it's the point of entry. I mean, listen, we just got done talking about a tin boat, aluminum boat, at Bass Pro, $250 on it, light graph package, and it's very well appointed.
Yeah,
it's $62,000, almost $63,000. Now, if we jump to a fiberglass and look at the 21 and know where that's priced at, and then we start saying, all right, well, we're going to get a little bit, we don't care what the budget is. Let's go buy an Icon, because I think right now Icon's the most expensive boat that's out on the market. We're going to throw a 300 or a 400 on the back end of it because that's what's allowed for the hull. And then we're going to put our electronics package on top of that. By the time you're all said and done, you're somewhere in $130,000, $135,000
easy
before it gets wet.
Yeah.
Now you've got to pull it with the truck. If anybody's priced new trucks, I personally did it about 7 months ago because I've got a 10-year-old GMC, 200,000 miles on it, went to the dealer. I decided that if I have to put a wind-up key on the back end of it, I'm keeping it.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So
I'm facing with the same thing. You know, I just had a conversation yesterday with my Ram. You know, it's got 276,000 miles on it, and it works. My mechanic says, he said, Don, the biggest problem with your truck, I said, I'm slap you if you tell me it's a Dodge. He goes, no, it's you.
That's what I thought was going to be said.
He said, you actually use your truck.
Uh-huh.
You know, I mean, this past week, running between Phoenix and Kearney, Globe, Tonto Basin 4 times, back to, I was over 1,000 miles.
Right.
You know, pulling 4,000 to 5,000 pounds of a pipe. Trying to get a horse in the back end, in the stock trailer. But anyway, it's, you got to take care of what you got, and, the way things are going, they can just dig a hole and drive the truck in it, lock me inside, and call it good enough. So.
Right. No, they need to be maintained. It doesn't matter. They need to be maintained.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
the guys that do it themselves already know. And the guys that look down and see that there's 0% left of their life on their oil, because we get all that information now through our dash.
Oh yeah,
and it's just shy of a red light, engine light.
Yeah,
it's
I don't prescribe to what they recommend. It's old school. Every 3,000 miles, you get an oil change, lube, change your air filter, and the only thing I'm not real good about is the gas filter.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that'll go, probably over 3,000 miles, 4, 5. Sometimes I just clear it and go, we're good. So anyway, that's gonna come up and bite me in the ass one of these days. But anyway, it's just
hopefully not going uphill.
Yeah. God, I hate that limp mode. So, at the end of the day, here locally, who is the premier kayaker shop?
I give it to Riverbound and on a customer service basis. If I were to turn around and look at square footage of the retail space and having an on-site rigger, I'd have to go to Lower Gear for that. So, and they're well acquainted with one another. I just, it's where my loyalties are in the valley, at least.
Yeah. Who's top of the glass boats?
The guys at Bass Pro Shops do a great job, and I've do a lot of my work and everything else.
Yeah.
But Wickenburg Marine's awesome. You got Mud Shark Marine in the valley, and then in Apache Junction, and then Copper State Tackle, Phoenix Marine. We have a lot of good
dealerships. Stay out
dealerships.
of Apache Junction, can you?
Well, I used to live right down the street from where I was living. Before I moved to Tonto Basin.
The girls miss you.
Yeah. Yeah. Mud Shark Marine's a great place. So there's a lot of new shops that are doing great jobs out there, and I'm not, I'm sponsored but with Bass Pro Shops, and that's
Sure.
where I have a lot of my work done.
Yeah,
But
of course.
I'm super
I'll go
pleased.
anywhere that can fit me in.
I'm super pleased with what Copper State has done over the last. I think they've now getting into their fourth year,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or at least eclipsed their fourth year, and working into their fifth, for how they've grown, for how they've immersed themselves in the community, and I think that's a good group of people in there.
Well,
Absolutely.
I personally, I think that's a premier shop, for
it is.
a number of reasons. And number one is they listen, they care about their customer base.
I was just getting ready to say, if you can't find it on the shelf, go to the front counter, because they'll look it up and it'll be in there,
Boom.
and they'll get it for you.
Yep.
And ship it to your house, whatever. That's customer service,
Absolutely.
and that's beyond the knowledge that's in there.
Yeah, they have Joey Potts there, and
Yep.
he came from Bass Pro Shops, and he's working at Copper State now, and he's just
He's
one
just
of the
loving
best.
it.
One of the best.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we're going to flip into a break. When we come back, we're going to have the Badass Report from Badass herself, Taylin Store from Dickinson, North Dakota. This ought to be good, guys. So just feel free. We'll be right back here on Fox Sports 910.
Good morning, everybody. We're back.
Are we hot?
We're hot.
Okay, have we got Miss Taylor in here? Taylor, are you with us? I got nothing in here. Dead airspace. Yeah, anyway, I spent yesterday afternoon about 3 hours watching that Army parade, and it was totally amazing. They had about 6,000 soldiers physically in the parade, and they went from George Washington's Army from day one to modern day, all the uniforms, and what was real interesting, they had the evolution of tanks and mobile artillery and some flyovers. They had a Mitchell B-25 being chased by a couple of P-51s. They had the Golden Knights come in. They were jumping in and presented President Trump with a flag that they, how they have a flag tied zip tied to their parachute, whatever they do. Wait, okay, have we got a badass in North Dakota?
Yes, you do. Hi, Don.
Hey, happy Father's Day. Don't forget to call your daddy.
I already did. I beat you to it about an hour ago.
Okay, good.
So I called him and I was like, thank you, Dad, for every hunting and fishing trip you have ever sponsored. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And now I get to spend most of my time talking to everybody about hunting and fishing because of Dad. So for all my dads out there listening, dads, grandpa, stepdad, big brother, family friend, whoever you may be, you guys are appreciated. So thank you for everything.
Yeah. Okay, we got Greg and Matt in here.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Here we go. All right, what do you got on your report today?
Kind of got a little bit of everything, if that's all right with you. So talking about hunting here in a second, I mean, you've honestly missed the boat for just about everything if you want to come hunting in the Badlands, unfortunately. However, if you guys have any friends or family members with tags, now is a really good time to butter them up or go buy them again or a really nice Father's Day gift. Just saying. Yeah, so any of your big game, that did close June 5th. So, yeah, definitely go talk to your buddy. Turkey season has wrapped, unfortunately, so clean your gear is basically what a bunch of people up here are doing. And then fishing is absolutely peaking, so I think I'm going to talk a little bit about that, if that's cool with you.
That's what we do. Go for it.
Perfect. So walleye are biting across the state, so the Missouri River, Lake Sacagawea, and Devil's Lake are all heating up. It is about 55 degrees here today in the wonderful world of the Badlands. But you can pretty much find just about everything if you go fishing. So it's really good. So I had some friends go out the other day, and they did not come home empty-handed. That's all I'm going to say. So good day for them. If you want to come up here, come fishing, highly recommend doing that. But June isn't necessarily like the off season. It's just kind of like the sneak attack season. So all the serious outdoorsmen are starting to get out here. So you might want to come up here and get it going. But farming is at an all-time high up here in the Badlands. I can say that for sure. And I can speak from experience. So we got that. I'm out in Williston at the moment at some family friends of ours farm, and they are spraying just about everything. And it has rained nonstop up here, which is needed. I'm sure Arizona is jealous.
We don't know what rain is anymore.
No, you guys get rain like once a year all at once, and then you get flash floods and people drown because they don't have swim, unfortunately. I'm like, how is that possible? But anyways, I mean, that's what I really got
that
for you.
Sucky 55 degrees that you have today, we're looking at 114 straight up.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's disgusting. Yeah, I'll take my 55 degrees and I'm going to go fishing down here. Not where you're at. No, thank you. But there are a few things that make North Dakota pretty special if you want to go fishing. So we don't have oceans, obviously. I hope every one of you listening has looked at a map. We don't have oceans, but we do got inland empires of lots of fresh water. So Lake Sacagawea is over 180 miles long and nearly 14 miles wide in places, and that is bigger than some states' coastlines. So there's a little fun fact for you today. And then Devil's Lake has exploded in size since the 90s and is a bucket list spot for walleye, perch, and pike. And then the Missouri River system flows steadily throughout the state and then provides constant action year-round. So you're bored, you want to head down to the Missouri, you're set, you're good.
Okay, now let me ask this: you have fishing seasons that are pretty.
Technically, yes. Hang on one second. Let me get that confirmed for you. I have lots of notes here. But yeah, fishing statement for June. So basically, nearly everything is open. So June's just a wide open month, and then everything is in Target for now. And then bass are heating up, so probably in July here in a bit. And then yeah, everything's pretty much a go. So I'd say your target months throughout the year are end of May till about September, and then everything freezes because that's what it does up here. So very short window, but very fun if you can get with it.
Well, and then the ice thickens up, and then everybody's on their huts out on the ice fishing and catching perch
Pretty
and
much.
what have you. And
I'm going to be honest, I can't think of anything worse than ice fishing. I've never gone.
I'm right there. I'm right there with you, girlfriend.
Don't get me wrong, there's some really nice people up here, but I don't think I want to sit in a little, pod with you for hours.
No.
Freezing my booty off, trying to catch some fish. No, thank you.
No.
I'll take my short window of fishing any day. I don't know about you, Don, but
Kind of makes it hard to switch areas in the lake when you have to work so hard to drop your blind in the water.
no kidding. I'm
There's
in college,
no
and
run
there's
gun.
kids
bring your
that'll
skates.
miss for weeks to go ice fishing, and it's like, what are you doing with your life? No, thank you.
Well, it might be better than 100.
Hey, whatever.
114 degrees,
Yeah.
maybe.
I don't know. Negative 60 with wind chill you never get used to it. That's all I can say.
Pass.
Yeah, pass. I'll take the heat.
That's also a hard pass.
Yeah, no, it's not fun. I don't recommend it. But yeah, your fishing license is $18, and if you go get it now, it is good till the end of this year, December 31st. And then for all my non-residents listening, it is $48 weekly, $18 daily if you want. Your walleye limit's $5 daily. So basically everything up here is $5 daily. So you're bored, you want to come up here, enjoy some nice, decent weather, keep that in mind. So there's some stats for you there.
We were having a little touch on a conversation that had to do with forward-facing sonar, and what is the opinion up there with the lakes? And we're talking about pike, perch, walleye. What's kind of the thought on that in that area?
I'm going to be completely honest. I don't exactly know. My fishing knowledge, I have not been out on a boat this season, so I honestly do not know. But what are your takes on it? I'm curious. What do you know?
Well, we were just kind of talking about fair chase a little bit, and some of the fish that are normally able to find an area that they can recover from spawn and what have you, getting into more depth and or humps and things like that and clustering together are now being targeted a little bit more. And, these are our breeders. And truthfully, Arizona, when we start looking at lakes and all the rest of it in comparison to other places that are very popular to fish in, we're a pond. You can take the cumulative of everything and we're just kind of a big wet spot and that's it. We can't say much more than that. It's not like going over to Texas and landing in Athens or Tyler out there, and you've got 6 premier fisheries that are laying around you, and many other places across the country. So.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess I haven't really given much thought to it, but definitely some valid points. So thank you for sharing that. Definitely have to look more into that. Report back next week.
What else you got?
What else do I got?
Yeah, what
else do you want to know? What else do you want to know?
Well, how are you going to spend the rest of the day?
The rest of today, I think I'm going to learn how to ride a dirt bike.
Uh-oh.
I hope my parents aren't listening. I really hope so. And I think I'm going to go investigate a sprayer. So
man.
those are my big plans for today.
Sounds like an adventure.
Nothing.
All right. Well, we're going to wish you the best
It
of the
is an
rest of the day.
adventure.
Be sure you stay on your dad. And
I will.
yeah, he's a great dad. You know, I appreciate all the things he does for you and the rest
He's
of the
an
family.
awesome dad. When I called him, he was feeding all the cows. So I appreciate him greatly. You know what FFA stands for, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Farmer Feeds Alone.
Good stuff. All right. Well, I appreciate your input and your contributions, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, I'll see you later.
She is, a beauty queen, farmer, badass. I mean, she's got it going on. Yeah, and I know her dad well. He's another good man. You know, he's there for all of their events, whatever it is, whether it's showing cows or beauty pageants or track stars. You know, it's like, I mean, she's like pole vaulting, over 16 feet.
Jeez.
High jumping like 7. It's like, what? And then her other sister, I mean, she goes through hurdles like, you're going to hurt yourself. You need to stop that. It's crazy. But anyway, hey, we're going to flip into a break here at Fox Sports 910. I'm Don McDowell. We have
Greg Kruger.
and
Matt Shura.
yeah. I want to talk a little bit
If you're
about
new in the valley and want to fish or don't know where or how to,
During the break, we were kicking the weather situation around, and right now I can tell you we're in heavy heat risk. Significant to major heat risk is expected across the region, particularly Sunday through Sunday. We're looking at 114 degrees today, and it's not going to be much better. It's going to drop down 110, 111 during the week, but back up these high temperatures. And I put out some notes on hydration and to the Coast Guard people, make sure they have their PPE, hot weather gear, and hydration is such a huge deal. But we were talking through the break. What are you seeing? What do you think? And who are you depending on for your information?
Related to the weather or related to? Well,
yeah.
I jump on and I probably do like everybody else does, either WeatherBug or NOAA or Weather Channel, whatever, and float through it. For the most part, it's pretty consistent. The funny thing is though is here in Phoenix we have microclimates too. You can get into places downtown where the sun's reflecting a little bit, and you add 15 degrees to whatever the high said immediately.
Well, we were talking about
superconducting downtown.
Talen's dad is west of Painted Rock, west of Gila Bend, 15 miles, and then 15 miles north of I-8, and it'll be 106, 108 here. It'll be 118 down there. And we were going to go down and work on some water facilities down there. And he goes, "Oh, my God, it's going to be 114. I said, "Where?" "Here in Phoenix. It'll be 120 degrees down there. Are we going to go down and work on wells?" No.
Probably not. But the other side of it is they cool down at night, which we cannot do because of all the asphalt and the concrete. Because what happens is it starts to cool down. All that heat that's been building up all day from everything that's been in direct sunlight has to release it. That's thermodynamics. You're going from hot to cold.
Well, the monsoon season actually is June 15th through the 30th, and Flagstaff predicts an increased chance of above normal precipitation, especially through July and August. My concerns are that, like I said earlier, 4,500 feet and below that here in the desert region. For the water we're already hauling water as fast as we can haul water.
I saw that.
And, all that kind of stuff, working on wells, getting pipe on the ground, tanks and solar conversions, all that kind of stuff, water for wildlife and livestock, and quite frankly, the ranching community, and just about below that 4,500 foot level, Apache Sitgraves is already telling them, if we don't get rain, you're pulling your cows off the landscape, and same at Tonto National Forest, and most of the ranchers, the ones that I was talking to last week, they've taken their livestock to sale.
Yeah. Because they got to feed them if they're not on the land.
Well, that's the other thing, and we got one guy over by Tonto Basin, around the corner by Jake's. He's over there just south of Jake's Corner. He's spending
on the north side of the road.
Yeah.
Okay.
$30,000 a month to feed his livestock, and he's having to supplement what he's doing by buying hay out there by Gila Bend and hauling it to Texas. That's just
rough.
Yeah, it's rough logistically. Yeah, you look at you look at $10, $12, $13 for hay. Then you look at your transportation costs, and it's a killer. And then you got to turn around and come home and do it again. So pretty scary. Yeah, scary out there right now. So anyway, the big deal moving into this time of year are the summer patterns for bass, and it applies for your kayakers and the bass guys. What are you guys seeing as the predominant technique right now? This week, last week?
Last week it was 100% big worms, 10-inch power worms. They have a floating Yamamoto worm. I'm not sure the name of it, but that's what most of these big fish are being caught on right now. As that water warms up, the fish's metabolism increases, and they want a bigger meal. So those bigger profile baits, big deep crankbaits, big 10-inch worms. You know, if you're fishing a tournament, you know, you want to. We only need to weigh in 5 fish. You can catch 55 fish, but you're only weighing in 5.
Sure.
But yeah, so that's what we're concentrating on. We've been catching some really nice fish. Just the last tournament, we had a 5-pound big fish and solid 2.5-pound fish to go with it. And you know, fishing's been really good. If you just want to go out and catch a bunch of fish, just throw a drop shot. You can throw a jerkbait. You can, you know, I know you love throwing that fluke, and you know, that kind of fishing's good. But predominantly, most of those big fish, and I know one of the 10-pounders was caught on a big 10-inch worm, half ounce. You know, I'm throwing a half-ounce tungsten weight.
Oh yeah.
5/0, you know, 5/0 hook, a big hook, and that 10-inch worm.
You throw that Ron Schofield black
at night.
Black with the blue fleck.
Yep.
Isn't that
fleck.
funny how you throw these just dark colors at night?
Yep. It's a silhouette. Yeah.
Never understood that, but I do it too. So
yeah, gives it a little silhouette. If there's any kind of stars or anything, you know, especially obviously in the clearer water, it gives those fish a silhouette to target. And of course, they have the lateral line where they can, you know, that gives them the ability to feed it in the dark, you know, at night. And, you know, if the water turns to chocolate milk mud, they still can eat. They can still find a little 2-inch shad,
right?
You know, because that's why they survived all these years, and that's how they get big. But yeah, it's a great time. There's still some fish chasing shad, a lot of little ones right now, and you know that's fun just to go out and catch a bunch of fish. I mean, we had over 60 fish, and we got off the water at noon. You know,
wow,
a couple weeks ago, and
yeah,
found one area where they had the shad pushed up, and they'll corral those shad up, and it's like somebody put a blender in the water. It's just so much fun to catch.
Well, I think last time you and I talked, we were talking about night fishing, but the thing that came to mind, and you'll appreciate this, I had a team tournament with our buddy Mark Townsend, and we were getting the boat ready to go, and I hear, shh, shh, shh. So what the hell is that? He's got a can of black spray paint, painting Super Spook. I said, okay, I didn't think too much about that. So we get on the water, and I heard the damnedest commotion. Mark was squealing like a little schoolgirl, and there was a snake trying to climb in the boat. And you know how Mark is.
Yeah.
He's getting out of the boat.
A little animated.
Oh, yeah. Gotta miss that guy. But anyway, that's just a whole another issue. But yeah, the black creates silhouettes, and same thing.
Yeah. And Daniel Elias, I was going to say, he went to Roosevelt last week and fished the night, you know, at night. Single blade Colorado black spinnerbait, black blade,
ounce and a half.
I think he was throwing a 3/4, half or 3/4. He wasn't throwing a real great big one, but that big willow leaf blade, single Colorado, black on black.
Yeah,
he caught some really nice
definitely
fish.
is a good thumper.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great night bait.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fishing's been great. I mean, we talked before. The weights that are coming out, you know, of these lakes are just incredible. You know.
How is your tournament format working out? Is it pretty well solid now, and everybody getting with it?
Yeah, it is. It's fairly universal. And what I mean by that is that we're using a software that pretty much everybody uses out here in the West. Tourney X is popular out here, where Fishing Chaos seems to be more popular when you go east. So it's easy to use. I mean, honestly, it's really easy to use. And there's things in implementations I'd like to see happen that move more towards, you know, catch, photograph, and release for the summer tournaments.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really would like to see that, and that's just preservation of our fishery. So.
Well, that's a conversation we need to have with James coming up. I know there's some fish care issues. There always has been. It needs to stop it. The social perception on the bass fishing tournament series across the board is quite frankly not that good with the fish kills that we're having on the night tournaments. You know, water's hot, and you have to take it to the next step.
Well, as soon as the water temp hits 86 degrees, the mortality rate jumps exponentially. And that isn't anything for us out here. to be at 86 degrees?
Well, I've heard they like the science. We have the science for years and years. Well, we just don't have the science. Well, now you've got the science. Now it's time to do something besides stick your head in the sand. And I don't know if Andy Clark is still with the department. I know he was thinking about making a change. I need to give him a call and see what he's done. But Andy was in fisheries, doing a pretty good job. So
Yeah, good guy too.
The nice thing is that, let's say it does move to a CPR format in the summers because of the water temp. It's not going to disrupt the program self-call.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a load off of the tournament operator, and everybody can kind of see the pictures to see what's going on.
I think other options, we've always agreed to disagree on certain things, and I totally respect you and your opinions and everything else. Like Let's Talk Fishing's lowered the fish count to 3.
3. Yeah, and that's
shorten
good.
the hours.
Yeah,
of the
that's
tournament.
awesome.
And we can, you can look at a study from somebody that sits behind a cubicle and isn't on the water 200 days a year. And when the fish rips my thumb off and darts away after I release him, after I weigh him in the tournament, I disagree that it's going to die. But, I don't know. I'm not a biologist and all that stuff.
Right.
So I
One of the you're right, and I respect that. But one of the things that I want to get back to what I just. We have the science, and it's not just guys sitting behind a keyboard. These are guys that fish biologists in the field, doing hands-on studies. And you're exactly right. We had that years ago, but now it's come around that.
let's put some tags on some fish. Let's track them.
Yeah.
If they're floating 2
And
days
that's-
later and they're dead, then
That's
I'll-
what
I'll-
other fisheries do. That's what other fishery biologists do, so that they can
Okay.
turn around to see what's going on. They also are able to identify the migrating patterns inside of the lake.
Yeah, we've got to flip into a break here at the top of the hour. When we come back, Coffee and Chaos from Montana with General Chaos himself. I'm Don McDowell. We've got.
Greg Kruger.
Matt Shura.
Okay, we'll be right back.
All right, we're stepping back in here. This is Greg Kruger with Bass Junkies, and Matt Shur and I are going to continue on a little conversation that was happening off air. And we're talking about the amount of fish that are coming to the scale and the reduction in the summer. Some of those things that we've been able to talk about, but with the 3 fish, I think that's the right way to go. That's one of the things that we had stepped in and done, and that was really important to us. as far as ambassadors, and I think that's it's nice to hear the other guys are out there doing that too.
Absolutely.
So we have somebody on the phone right now. Am I correct on that?
Captain Chemo, what's going on?
Can't hear him because he might be on Don's ears.
Are you there, Captain Chemo? Here we are. We got our boss back. Here's Mr. Don McDowell himself.
Yeah, boy, sorry about that. We're having some truck issues today. Have we got Captain Chemo? Chemo, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, Don? How you doing? Happy Father's Day to everybody that's a father there.
And to you, and to you. So we got a news alert about our friend David at Soda Arms. What happened to the manufacturing plant?
Yeah, so May 11th, they had an electrical fire. Dave and one of his other employees, they were doing a bunch of stuff on the CNCs, and some kind of electrical fire sparked. I don't know the details, but burnt down their main building. They lost several CNCs. I think they lost like 7 or 8 machines, so put them down for a bit. Again, this was May 11th. So they got a temporary building up and running. They're doing some production stuff for a lot of their customers. I'm trying to think. We have a rifle that he gave us. I don't know, a couple of months ago, maybe 3-4 months ago. So what we're going to do is we're Cerakoting that rifle. It's a 300 blackout, and we're going to start raffling this rifle in Montana. We got several vendors that are going to help us out with that and just kind of raise some money and awareness for Soda Arms. Keep doing quite a bit of posts so people can reach out to them, become friends with them, just show them some support and love. Because they do quite a bit of business for a lot of different firearm manufacturers. We buy quite a bit of stuff for them as well. It's no secret. We have a great relationship with them. So that's kind of what's going on with them.
Okay, we've got Greg and Matt in here. One of the things that we've been talking about are kayaks. How prominent are the kayaks up there in Montana? You seeing a lot of them on the water?
There are a lot of them on the water. Wynn has one. He goes out on a weekly basis.
No, I know. No, I don't. No, I will tell the one thing, John, it's one of the big things, obviously, is the springtime is that really heavy runoff, so all the rivers are really, flowing well and people are jumping out there. But it's also that dangerous time of the year. I know they've lost a couple, we've lost a couple of human beings this year in tragic events being on those high water rivers. But it's kayaking, paddle boarding, the single individual pontoon, they're all getting more and more popular, and there's a lot out there. So,
are you seeing a lot of kayak fishing tournaments?
No. We're still. I mean, most of our big fishing tournaments around here. There's one this weekend, 50 miles from here, but it's on a pretty decent little lake. That's just a trout tournament. But next weekend, I believe, is the start of our Sunrise walleye tournament here. I know there's a walleye tournament going on up in Tiber right now, which is in northern central Montana. We already had the walleye tournament up in Fort Peck, but those are all big bodies of water and big old. We have a lot of lake wind and stuff, so you got to have almost everybody's using a Pro V blend of some nature, or that 20 to 21 foot. Some are using different ones, but there's a lot of big boats for big bodies of water for going after big fish.
Yeah. Matt, I'm kind of thinking a walleye tournament. The thing that comes to mind is fish fry.
Yeah, they're one of the best fish to eat.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I remember Saguaro Canyon Apache. They did a bunch of walleye stocking in there, and we used to catch them. Trying to fish for bass, and the walleyes were kind of a nuisance, but we ended up taking some home, and they were delicious actually. So fun to catch too.
Okay, what else is shaking up there, gentlemen?
Some pretty intense storms. We've had some really big storms across Montana. We've had some tornadoes. Been spotted. We've had roads washed out down south or southeast Montana. Got like 5 inches of rain, and it just decimated the roadways down there. Last night we had a pretty gnarly storm build up to the northeast of us here, and they're just getting intense. But it's the time of the year where we get these intense ones. We had a notification that we're going to have a severe thunderstorm again tonight. Pushing that 50 to 70 mile an hour winds, and anywhere from pea size up to golf ball size hail is possible. So just that fun stuff that we had to deal with. But Mylon, what else you got, Chemo?
Well, that's about all I got. It's been super busy, so I haven't really been able to dive into a whole lot of things. We're going to try to do an episode for the podcast here later on, and then I'm back on the road, I think, Tuesday, and I'll be in your neck of the woods for several days, Don.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Let me ask you this. We had a bunch of protests here in the Metroplex all around the towns. What did you guys see up there?
I don't think we've had anything up here in Montana.
No, we did. We had they showed their faces in Great Falls, Missoula. Nothing like what transpired in Portland or LA or anything like that. We did have the No Kings protests. They were scheduled to be in Kalispell, Missoula, Great Falls, Helena, Havre, Forsyth, Billings, Bozeman, Butte. I mean, all the big areas around Montana. Haven't seen anything saying that they got out of hand, though. So that's good. I made a comment to somebody with all these protests, and it's like, when I was a kid, I used to go out and play Cowboys and Indians. And it almost didn't come back to the time to go back and start playing Cowboys and protesters.
Yeah,
and,
well, that'll get you hate mail. Trust me.
Oh, I'm sure it will, but, I mean, it blows my mind. Here we are destroying government property. We're all tired of paying taxes, so let's go destroy the stuff so we can pay more taxes to rebuild what you broke. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Who's ever putting this stuff together needs to be taken out back and at the end of it, tarred and feather, and probably somewhere else. So
yeah, little trip out to the woodshed.
Yeah.
So it's getting out of hand.
All right. Well, I'm going to wish you guys happy Mother's Day, and Sheriff, stay out of the pickle jar. And we'll give you guys a holler next week. So thank you, guys.
All right, Don. We'll see you, brother.
Okay. That's what I was talking to him. We're playing Cowboys and protesters. That's when you go out and round them up. You brand them, you cut them, take them to market. So anyway, that's just after a while they'll stop it.
You were just talking about hate mail. I just throw
that
out there.
I'm big enough. I've got a whole file on my emails where they all go. So it's all good. Yeah. Anyway, we had quite an episode here in Phoenix. Did you have any protesting in Tonto Basin?
There was none.
Really?
Not a one.
Oh my goodness. There's enough California license plates over there. I thought they'd be blocking the bridge and.
Not at all. Yeah, a lot of good people in Tonto Basin, and most of them fish. So I don't know a whole lot of bad guys that are fishermen.
No, well, that's the thing. We've talked about that before. Greg and I got into a lengthy discussion. We have terrorists because they don't fish.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
problem solved. Let's get them fishing.
What's where and when is your next kayak tournament?
We'll be doing that in September, and right now I have Saguaro slated for that.
Okay. Are you doing night tournaments?
No.
Are you doing night tournaments?
I usually do, but I have surgery on Tuesday, so I'm going to be out. I'm going to be out for a little while, so probably a month or two, and then
Oh my goodness.
then we're back at it. But I did want to say before I forget, we'll be at the Mesa Bass Pro Shops from 11 to 2 today, helping kids catch bluegills again.
I saw the pool. I
Yeah.
saw it set up there, and anybody who is thinking about taking a young man or a young lady down there, first time fishing experience, it's an awesome place to have it, and plenty of knowledgeable people around to help talk and
We
all
have
those
a great
little things.
we have a great time, but those bluegills are kind of onto us. They're a little wore out, but
Oh,
they're still
yeah.
biting, and they're also doing it at the Bass Pro in Glendale as well. But they're doing it from 10 to 1, I believe, because it's they're outside. We at the Mesa Bass Pro, we're in the air conditioning.
Oh, nice.
inside. So
Yeah.
it's a lot nicer.
Going to be warm today.
Just
All
want to
right.
let everybody know, right by the kayak section in the
Absolutely.
store. Just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, there it is.
I'm going to have a sign made that says Tupperware here.
All right.
Okay. We're going to flip into a break. Chris Rich from AZ Fly Shop when we come back. Stay with us.
10.
The adventure begins at AZ Fly Shop with Chris Rich. What's happening, brother? Happy Father's Day.
Hey, happy Father's Day to you too, Don McDowell, and all the other fathers out there doing a great job of raising kids and being a husband. I love that part of life. I highly encourage it. It really makes a difference in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah. We've got Greg and Matt in here, the Bass guys. So what's going on? How much time are you spending up in the White Mountains?
Well, I'll tell you what, I got halfway into the week this last week and kind of looked at my schedule and thought, I don't really have to be here for a week or so. So I've been up in the mountains. I'll be up here most of the week through next week. It's absolutely beautiful up here. The wind is starting to come down just a little bit. Still clear blue skies all day long. We got up into the low 90s yesterday there in Pine Top. Probably didn't get that warm up on top of the mountain, but things are warming up. We're not far from the dog days of summer in the mountains. Fishing is still good on the lakes. It is starting to slow down in some places. Sunrise Lake has been the producer up here. I mean, we're catching 20-plus inch rainbows, big, fat, meaty trout. They fight really hard, really fun to fish. And so Sunrise has been really good. Big Lake has been good, but, Big Lake can be good one day, and then the next day you can't seem to buy a bite. I'm going to head up to Carnero Lake this morning out in the backcountry. Little tiny lake, lots of weeds, really good for fly fishing. I've heard rumors of some nice healthy trout being caught out of there. I'm going to go check it out today. But overall, the mountains look good. The trees are healthy. We need some rain. There's no question. I mean, we keep talking about it. It's a big deal up here. So I'm hoping that, I know I've seen Flagstaff weather reports saying, hey, we should be higher than normal monsoons. I'm sure praying for it. I think we all need to do a rain dance.
You betcha.
In fact, I think we'd be better served if we were all doing a rain dance instead of going over to these rallies that are going on right now. Things might be a little better.
Fact.
Yeah. You got a point there.
So I think they might be more constructive in a lot of different ways. So just saying, not trying to start anything. I'm just saying like this, Yeah.
Gas and matches here.
Yeah, boy.
Hey, I did happen to. I drove by the No King rally here in Show Low yesterday. There was might have been 100 people or 200 people along the roadside with their signs. They were all staying on the sidewalk. They weren't causing problems. Seemed to be pretty orderly. And, of course, there was the Trump train came driving through a couple of times, and didn't seem to be any problems as far as I could tell. But, people don't have any better way to spend their time. They should be out fly fishing. They should be out fly fishing.
No, you don't want. No, you don't want them on the water. No, forget it.
Well, I mean, I get what you're saying. I get that. I say this: there's recent studies that suggest fly fishing is the most highly effective antidepressant. And when I watch those people at those rallies, I have to think to myself, they must be depressed. Those people must be depressed to be doing what they're doing. Well, come out and fish, folks. It's not that bad. All those problems you think are problems, they're not over here on the water.
No, but does fly fishing fix stupid?
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. Okay. I will tell you, hey, any guesses on what the number one vehicle driven by these protesters are?
Subaru.
Yeah. Yeah, Subaru, Birkenstock, Starbucks. Come on. I saw them protesting down at McDonald's yesterday.
I already told Don I'm not knocking nails through. I'm going for railroad spikes, so I'll just jump right to Subaru.
I love it. I get it. Hey, the classes at the shop have been doing real well. Our Fly Fishing 101 class, from zero to hero in 2 hours. It's the class that the fish don't want you to know about. And that class has been doing real well for us. We've had a lot of new people coming into the fly fishing world. I'm always encouraged by that. And We've got our bug class on the first Thursday of each month from 6 to 8 p.m. All this can be found on the website. And we've got quite a few trips coming up. In a couple of weeks, I'll be headed down to the Amazon to fish Kenjam. I've got 6 people going down there. It's a Kayapo village, 800 miles into the jungle. We'll be fishing the headwaters of the Iriri River, chasing 12 different jungle species. Should be a pretty epic trip. I come back from that, go to Puerto Rico. About a week later, we chase giant tarpon and permit over there. And so we've got quite a few trips coming up. We're getting trips on the books for 2026. All this available at azflyshop.com. Visit the website, stop by the shop, see what's going on. Shop's been real active. Fortunately for us, the shop's been very active. A lot of new people coming into fly fishing. A lot of people wanting to get out there on the water. So always encouraging stuff for me to see.
Well, outstanding. Well, we're going to wish you the best the rest of Father's Day. You take care of yourself. Did you happen to go through Payson yesterday?
You know what? I went through Payson on Wednesday evening.
Okay.
And there was hardly anything going on there at all. I know that. Boy, I tell you what, that's another thing. You see that 260, and I'm on that Facebook group where they, talk about the roads and are they stopped, are they clear, what's going on. God, there's been a bunch of accidents on that road. People drive a little crazy there.
No, I'm telling you, we got caught up in it on Tuesday. There was a fatality northbound just below the 512 Young Road, and that was a 2-hour backup. And right after we got stopped for the wreck and waiting for first responders, some jackass in a Volvo tractor and trailer decided he was going to turn around and go the other way, but when he nosed over on the shoulder of the road,
got stuck. Saw that. Yeah.
Buried the cab. And
I'll be danged.
Yeah, it was a comedy of stupid. I mean, just like, and then there's a guy, I don't want to talk about Chevy drivers, but this Chevy driver gets out and he gets out a strap. He's going to pull this tractor and trailer back up on the roadway.
Well, at least it wasn't a Tesla.
Yeah.
may as well have been.
Yeah.
Tesla.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Matt, you ought to come up here to the White Mountains. The weather's nice up here, right? A lot nicer than being down there in Tonto Basin or being over there in Phoenix.
Yes.
And Becker Lake has got some nice bass coming out of it right now.
Really?
So there's a handful of bass there's a handful of bass in Becker Lake. We occasionally will get them on a little fly. We're catching 2-3 pound bass on a little tiny fly from time to time. It's fun to do. But there are some guys. You see a lot of guys in bass boats over there, and I'm hearing guys catching 7-8 pound bass out of there.
Woo.
I mean, they're eating. I'm sure they're eating the trout that are being stocked.
Oh, for sure.
In that lake.
Yeah. I didn't know there was. I didn't know there was bass in that lake. Are the ramps decent for launching a bigger boat?
You're probably going to have to get wet to get out there, but I think you could. I see guys launching bass boats over there. It's a decent ramp. You'll have to back up quite a ways, but you can. It's got a nice rock, bottom going all the way out there. But I'm telling you, and they're trying to get the bass out of that lake. I mean, none of us take them out when we catch them, but there's also a lot of sunfish, a lot of bluegill, a lot of green sunfish in that lake. And so, but I see a lot of bass guys over there. I know the pH on that lake for the trout is not doing well. You see a lot of sick tiger trout right now. The rainbows seem to be okay, but Game and Fish is saying they're really worried about that lake in terms of a fish kill. I don't know how that pH affects the bass. I'm sure if it gets bad enough, it probably not going to be good for them. But
right.
Anyhow, just a thought, Matt. You might want to come up here and check it out. Get yourself out of the heat and
absolutely. I love it up there.
Can't work some of those bass.
Cool. Well, thanks for the tip.
Hey, Chris, real quick, are they still doing the? If you catch a smallmouth at Lee's Ferry, you have to harvest it? That they were trying to...
I know they're trying to get rid of the smallmouth out of Lee's Ferry, and I'm sure they'd like you to kill them if you catch them. I know they've had the bounty on the brown trout, but I haven't specifically heard them. What's interesting is you don't hear them. I know they're doing a lot of stuff up there, but they don't talk about it a lot on social media and on the internet. They're not trying to get it out to the public. So, it's hard. I don't know what they're doing in terms of bounty on the smallmouth. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea. A lot of fly fishermen or a lot of fishermen, shouldn't say fly fishermen, but a lot of guys were going up there up to that brown trout bounty, and they were making, $1,000 a month going up there and turning in brown trout to the federal government and getting a check for each one that they caught.
Wow.
So it seems like it makes sense for them to do that for smallmouth. And, you take a lake like Becker, they've been trying to get the bass out of that lake. Why not put a bounty on them? Let the bass fishermen come up here and have a good time with it. I mean, you're spending money to go out there and electroshock these. You're not getting all of them. If you could get the bass fishermen on board, $25 or $50 a fish, that'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Jar of tartar sauce. Woo, come on.
There
All
you
right.
go.
You enjoy the rest of your day and you be safe next week. Hydrate. It's going to be hot.
Don McDowell, I appreciate all you do, and happy Father's Day to you. Enjoy the day.
Likewise, my brother. Chris Rich, AZ Fly Shop. We're going to flip into a break when we come back. Talk to Guggenauer, the master rod builder at Rim Country Custom Rods, and that would be Commissioner Guggenauer. He's going to do that. He's going to wear that hat. So, yeah, we want to talk about fish kill, fish care, all kinds of fun stuff. We'll be right back. Okay, up next to the microphone, Commissioner Kugenauer. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning, Don, Matt, and Craig. What a great Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to everybody.
Well, thank you so much. Same to you. What's going on up at Payson? I understand you guys had some protesting yesterday.
You know, we had some people standing on the corner. I won't even call it a protest here. There were far more American flags flying in Payson yesterday than there were protests, I can tell you that.
My guess is that'd be a pretty sketchy place to have a anti-Trump protest. I'm just saying. So.
Yeah, we're not Payson's a great American town to live in, and I love seeing American flags flying all over town for sure.
Yes, sir. We've got Matt in here, and he's got a really, really good report on Roosevelt. What are you hearing? Anything to the contrary?
You know, I've been listening to the streaming podcast, and I don't know that I can add anything to the fishing report that hasn't already been said. Hearing it from Matt Shore is a lot better than hearing it from me, but everything that he talked about fishing is great. The night fishing is getting popular now. The reason why is the overnight low in Payson was 59 degrees, and it was just beautiful weather. The wind is laying down. So it's just a great time to be on the water. I don't care if you're bass fishing, trout fishing. It's all fun right now.
Good deal. We're getting reports of excessive fish kills from a fishing department standpoint. Where are we headed with that?
Yeah, so I appreciate the text this past week, Don. You get more insight. You find out things faster than anybody at the department or the commission. I'm going to tell you that right up front.
That was shared. So yeah.
We sent some WMs out there. By the time they got there, they didn't see any signs of excessive fish kill. There were still a few fish floating, but they don't last very long once they're on the water. But I heard Matt talking about and Craig about reducing fish numbers during the summertime for these tournaments. I think that's a great idea to do. Fishermen, I know that they all talk a good story, but when it comes time to really taking care of those fish, sometimes it doesn't get executed as well as we all think it does. So just caution everybody that if you're fishing during the day, for sure it's 100 degrees down there at the lake. As soon as you can get that fish back into the water, the better. If you can get them off your hook without even lifting it out of the water, a lot of times when you get a bass right up to the boat, you can lower the tip of your rod, put some slack in the line, and that fish will spit that bait. So, try those things before you actually reach in there and swing it into the boat and then put it back in the water. Anything to keep them in the water is the thing. And for trout, the same thing. I mean, never lift the trout out of the water, keep it in the net, keep the net submerged in the water. You can easily get your fly out of a trout and release it right back into the water.
Oh. Okay. I've had text after text after text on the deer draw. Is that coming down on the 17th?
Yes. It's that, believe it or not, it's that time of year again for getting ramped up for draws. And always a fun time. Also, at this time of year, we have one of our special big game tags that's being raffled by the Conservation First USA. This is a special big game raffle. You can Google that and buy it. This is a all year round hunt in most every unit in the state. They are fun to get there. Also, the Wild Sheep Foundation is raffling a bighorn sheep tag right now. Both of those go till the end of June. So if you're looking for some other opportunities as well as getting ramped up for the draw, I think they're getting ready to verify everybody's credit card here in the next week or so. But, a fun time. If you want to hunt this fall, now's the time to be paying attention.
Yes, it is. Well, we're looking forward to Tuesday. See if the credit card got tapped. You know, and that's part of the fun. In years past, it was standing in line at Greenway trying to get your stuff into the box because you waited the last minute along with the 2,000 other people trying to get in there. But
I've been there.
yeah, God, I missed that. It was so much fun. There was a commission meeting. What are the highlights?
So a couple of things with the commission. Don, this was I think a good recognition. I wanted to announce this. We talked about going to the Western Association Fish and Wildlife Conference. It was up in Provo, Utah, a couple of weeks ago. This is where a lot of game and fish agencies in the western United States and even some portions of Canada, I get together and talk about different items. You know, there's a mule deer session, there's a bear session. The commissioners from all these states get together and they have a commission meeting where we can talk to other commissioners around the western U.S., see what kind of issues they're working on, you know, what's the current issues there. The big surprise of the event was that the Arizona Game and Fish Commission was named the Commission of the Year. So a pretty prestigious award for Arizona's commission, and I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
And then, yes,
congratulations on that.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Friday, we did have a commission meeting right here in Payson. And finally, Don, I hope you're sitting down because otherwise you might fall down. But after 2 years, we finally approved our Article 2 resolution for the commission. As you know, articles get updated every 5 years. That's a state statute that we look at the articles within Title 17 of the Game and Fish statute. This one was particularly complicated because we were focused on crossbows, which is part of the Article 2. And the question was, is it ethical to use crossbows during archery hunts?
Yeah.
Because the technology has advanced so far in crossbows, and we have a allowance to use them, if you have a permit, if you have a doctor's permit signed, then you can get a crossbow. And quite frankly, a lot of people were abusing that. We didn't have any hard numbers, just a lot of anecdotal information about it. So what the commission decided on Friday was that we're going to continue to allow crossbows to be used during the over-the-counter archery-only hunts, our ham hunts, our muzzleloader hunts, as well as our general hunts. However, the permit that you have to be able to use a crossbow, we tightened up the clarification of what the limitations would be. And instead of any type of medical person that can sign this form, up to and including a chiropractor, now it has to be an orthopedic doctor or a doctor of osteopathy.
Yep.
So those are the only two doctors that can sign these permits now. And then one last thing we did is on the crossbows, we are only going to allow a 0 magnification on the scopes. This is for a crossbow during the deer hunts, and you can use a red dot. You can have that. You could even have a graduated reticle in the scope.
Mm-hmm.
But we're thinking that if we minimize the magnification, that will make it more comparable with a standard compound bow.
Good move. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
And you still have to have the champ permit?
Still have camp, yes. Camp is, that's always anybody who has lost limbs, and especially our veterans, that's who we focus on. We make it as most accommodating as we can. As an example, you can use a crossbow. If you have a champ permit, you can use a crossbow and you can shoot out of a vehicle, from the bed of a vehicle, leaning it on a vehicle. You can have people assist you in retrieving your animal if you hit one, if you have to track it or something like that. So we are most accommodating to champ permit holders in the state of Arizona.
Outstanding. Well, good job on that. We're going to wish you the best of the rest of the weekend, and happy Father's Day up there. And make sure you keep your flag flying. Did you get to watch that Army parade yesterday at all?
I missed that, Don. Did I see what?
No. Just if you get a chance, take a look at that Army parade that Trump had.
Oh, I did watch that Army parade. I thought it was fantastic. That woman that did the national anthem is the best rendition I've ever heard. Google it, and everybody should watch that.
Yeah, it was good. All right, well, happy Father's Day, and we appreciate your participation. We'll talk to you next week. James Guggenauer doing a great job as a commission, and Bill's a pretty good bass rod. We've got to flip into a break, come back, get it wrapped up, and get on with the day. right, we're back. I appreciate everybody joining in today and letting us share Father's Day with you. Thank you guys for coming down. Really a pleasure to have you in studio, and best of luck to you. And
thank you.
Once again, if you need something, pick up the phone, and
thank you.
We'll take care of it. You had some closing comments on the kayaks and the mom and pop stores. I appreciate you saying that. That's important stuff.
Well, it is. I mean, we have to take care of those small stores and that knowledge that's in there. Mom and pop stores are what make the fishing industry, as far as for any of us that are running around and buying the baits. And, whether you're running into Copper State or you're running into Riverbound, you're going to get the answers that you need, and you'll also get some solid suggestions.
Yep. Anything to add on your behalf?
Well, come see us. Bring the kids out to Bass Pro Shops, 11 to 2, and we'll be helping them catch bluegills in the air conditioning.
Who all's going to be out there today?
Good question. I haven't even looked at the list, but Gary Sempt was there, and Eric Shook, and got some guys from the store that are helping out. So got all the fishing rods and bait and everything ready to go. So Roger Luce, he's kind of our bluegill expert. He actually targets them. And, yeah. So we go to him for advice on the size hooks and exact kind of baits and stuff. I mean, he's into it. So he helps us out because those fish get finicky, man. Their mouths get sore, and you got kids crying because they're not catching fish, and then we'll switch the baits up a little bit, and then they start biting again. So
there you go.
Yeah. So there's a little skill involved, more than I would have thought for bluegills.
Yeah, but. Just like the mother lake.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, here's I'm getting blown up on my text. Saltwater report out of H&M Landing. I'll give you the San Diego dock totals. There was 10 boats out, 13 trips, 356 anglers. There was 556 calico bass released, 264 rockfish kept, 218 calico bass kept, 180 sand bass, 174 whitefish, which are just absolutely tasty. I mean, they're just right up there with.
Never had one.
Walleyes. Oh my God, they're good. 105 bonitas. That's right up there with cat food. 43 barred sand bass. And here's the good news: the tuna are here. They're within reach. The Pegasus was out on a day-and-a-half trip. 16 anglers. They boated 38 bluefins, along with some other stuff. But the 26 rockfish, 17 sculpins, and only 2 yellowtail were boated. And the fish are late this year. And Greg, this is kind of where I'm getting some of my ideas on the monsoon. When the fish are late, we don't have a good monsoon. And these fish are, God dang, they're late. Yellowtail should have been here in March, bluefin in May. And it's, a month late, and nobody knows where the hell the yellowtail are. They're stuck down at Mag Bay. There are some disturbances out on the Pacific. It's going to be interesting to see what they do, see if they can't push these fish up. And then, I don't know where it's going to end. Sometimes when it starts late, it runs late, and into October, November. Sometimes we see it early December before the fish bail. So it's going to be, I'm really watching it to see, if my theory is correct on the monsoon. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the fish show up, and I hope it rains like hell.
Well, I would love to have it rain like hell. I'd like to see the Scottsdale Greenbelt flood. I mean, it's been so long since we've seen that, and we've seen the water locally. And I can remember when we had an absolutely enormous storm that rolled through and dumped 9 inches up in Globe.
Remember.
And Roosevelt, rose 20 feet?
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Then all of a sudden, San Carlos is back, and there's 5 and 6 pound bass being caught. So I'm really.
Yeah, I don't know where those come from, but I'm happy that they're able to get down in the mud and hibernate and
it's amazing.
Hibernate and come back out.
I guess the Gila that runs into it has quite a few bass in it. My buddy lives in Safford,
sure.
Brad Cook.
Yeah. Have you ever fished down by Gillespie?
I have not.
Oh, that's you're not going to get your boat in there for sure. You can get a kayak would be ideal. Float tubes and fishing along the bank is kind of a no-no just because of the snakes.
Ugh.
Yeah, snaky, man.
Not a fan.
It's bad. It's
not a fan.
Really bad. So, as much travel as RC and I did this past week, I only saw one snake in the road, and that was over by Tonto Basin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, right by the
place where you always see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I was on a guide trip and the fish were biting. This is when I was guiding, but it was dark, and I'm at Cholla, and you know that walk all the way up to the parking lot. And I just got my phone just on, just lighting it up just enough so I can see the pavement. I step on something. I look down, and it's a rattlesnake.
Nice.
I stepped on it.
Nice.
I'm not very agile, but I was agile.
What you were then.
Yeah.
Crazy how that motivates you to do.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness somebody had run it over and it was dead.
Okay.
But, that was it still gives me chills thinking about it.
Oh, yeah.
It freaked me out. I'm in the dark, and stepped on a snake. It's like, I was lucky. I was lucky it was no longer with us, because I would have been in trouble.
Pretty crazy. Yeah, what I saw was not a rattlesnake. It was red and black. So I'm thinking, black to red, you're dead.
Yeah, I can't remember saying red on yellow, kill a fellow. It was paramedic school stuff or something.
Yeah. Red touch yellow, kill a fellow.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yep.
Well, anyway, thank you guys. Hope you have a good weekend. I'm not even going to talk about NASCAR because I'm back on my boycott on NASCAR. I'm boycotting anything Mexican and Walmart because they had ads on the No King and are sponsoring some of the protesting. So I've had it.
Really?
I'm not going to Filiberto's anymore. That's done.
They shut like 8 of those down across the valley.
They did.
Yeah.
I just saw that earlier in the week.
Yeah. Done. So anyway,
that's been a staple of bad choices of mine. Early morning hours for years.
Likewise.
Yes. When it's time, call me. I'll bring you a half of Filiberto's green chili.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We'll see how the system's working.
Well, it'll wake them up.
Oh yeah. All right, we've got to get out of here. Seriously, follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Give us a like here and there. Check out the huntingfishing.com. We'll be adding some new stuff this next week, and Southwest Ranch Supply will be putting some pictures up of some of the projects that we've been doing, trying to support the ranching community, and Water for Wildlife is a big deal. We've got a big mule deer project going 91,000 feet up in 4B. So I'm Don McDowell. Take your kids fishing, hug your bass boat, and happy Father's Day. We'll see you next week.